is an Eye on the Gulf update.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Travis Herzog with some important breaking updates on Tropical Storm Nicholas. It has rapidly shown signs of organization so far this morning, and we have numerous watches and warnings that have just recently been upgraded and altered by the National Hurricane Center. Now, the storm is still in its formative stages, so there could be some changes that occur with where the center develops. We've seen already the center reform once off to the north, which hasn't changed too much right now, but it is possible we could see some current or some future center reformations that could alter the exact path that this takes, and the path will be important to determining the exact impacts that occur in your neighborhood. It has sustained winds of 40 miles per hour, but is expected to gradually strengthen, and now hurricane watches have been posted for portions of the middle Texas coastline. We are expecting this to be making landfall most likely tomorrow night, but if it deviates to the right of the center of this cone, the forecast would call for a landfall a little bit later into Tuesday. But as it stands right now, most of southeast Texas will be bracing for direct impacts, being on the so-called dirty side of this circulation. We have tropical storm warnings now out all the way up to San Luis Pass, and this is your hurricane watch that goes from Sargent all the way down toward Port Aransas. We are expecting that landfall again to be occurring tomorrow night, so there's not a lot of time left to prepare. And a storm surge warning has also been issued for the middle and upper Texas coastlines all the way towards San Luis Pass, where we are expecting up to 5 feet of surge aimed towards Matagorda Bay. There's also an extensive flash flood watch, and locally we could be seeing some significant rainfall accumulations in this watch zone. 8 to 16 inches of rain will be common, with greater than 20 inches isolated near the upper Texas coastline, and a lot of this is going to fall Monday night into Tuesday in a short span of time, and so there is that risk of flash flooding. I'm going to continue giving you an extensive update on our digital platforms, mobile app, and abc13.com. For now, we will return to your regular programming, and we'll see you live on the news at 5:30. And thanks to those of you who are continuing to join us on our digital stream. This again is the flash flood watch. It basically includes all the counties that touch 59 southwest of Houston, I-10 off to the east, and areas off to the south. Now, we're still trying to get a handle on where those highest accumulations will fall because it is highly track dependent. And since this system is still in its formative stages, that track is likely to shift. But this is a look at the most recent projection that we have from NOAA, and they show that northwest of Houston, you have the greatest chance of avoiding a flood. 1 to 4 inches here between College Station, Brenham over towards Navasota. But once you get closer in towards Houston, we're now looking at 4 to 10 inches of rain, and from downtown all the way to the coast, we're looking at 10 to 20 inches of precipitation. Most of this falling Monday night into Tuesday as the core of the storm passes through. Now, there's a couple of scenarios on the table in terms of how quickly or slowly it will move through southeast Texas. One scenario has it going through pretty quickly as a stronger storm near the coast, potentially a hurricane, but it moves out of here pretty quickly. The other scenario is it comes in a little farther west of Matagorda Bay as a weaker storm, but then it gets stuck out to our west, and that puts us on that dirty side for a few days, which could greatly increase these accumulations from what we are currently showing you. But it stands right now, it's our coastal counties that have the greatest risk of seeing the highest accumulations and that potential for flash flooding. But again, it's dependent upon the exact track that Nicholas takes and the speed with which it moves through. So here's your general timeline. We are expecting scattered thunderstorms on Monday. Many of us will be able to go about our business on Monday with no major problems. It won't be until we get to Monday night that the really heavy rain begins to push in, maybe even as early as that afternoon, evening rush. We might start to see some very heavy rain bands pushing into southeast Texas, and the flooding potential will increase through the night. On Tuesday, that's when the heaviest rain, the wind, the surge, all of that's going to peak Tuesday morning into Tuesday afternoon, given what we know now about where that center is located and the likely path that it is expected to take. So here's a review of those watches and warnings. We have hurricane watches out for Matagorda, Jackson, and Calhoun counties. That means it's possible that as this comes inland, if it makes landfall near you, you could experience hurricane force winds. So that is a strong possibility now indicated by the National Hurricane Center. Meanwhile, we have tropical storm warnings that extend from Matagorda Bay all the way up to San Luis Pass. So it does not include Galveston Island at this time, but Galveston, you're under a tropical storm watch. In fact, all the counties that touch I-10 are under a tropical storm watch. Wherever that storm goes in, the path the center takes, about 50 to 100 miles inland, will likely have tropical storm force wind conditions. So that means there's the potential that in addition to the flooding rains, there will be some sporadic power outages based on where that tracks. Then along the coast, we have our storm surge watches that continue east of San Luis Pass, but from San Luis Pass down around the counties of Matagorda Bay, you're under a storm surge warning. Now, the current projection right now is that near Matagorda Bay, we could have up to 5 feet of water above ground level. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit if we start to hear about the potential for some voluntary, at the minimum, evacuations for the low-lying spots around Matagorda Bay. All right, here's Future Track. Again, these kinds of projections will be highly dependent upon the exact path that Nicholas takes, and it's still trying to consolidate that center. So this timing may change a bit here, but it looks like we'll have some rounds of rain through the night, but they'll be sporadic, more scattered, nothing that's going to cause any major issues. And that should be the case for most of the day on Monday. As we get into Monday evening, southwest of Houston initially is where we'll see some very heavy rainfall pushing up as the center of Nicholas pushes in. Now, this is the forecast center line from the National Hurricane Center. I've got the cone drawn on here, so as it shifts within this cone, that'll shift where those highest rainfall accumulations end up. But the general timing here shows us that Monday night, Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, we're seeing the potential for some very heavy rainfall pushing right through southeast Texas. So while I'm optimistic you can go about your business on Monday, Tuesday might be one of those days where a lot of us are stuck in the spot we land in as we go to bed on Monday night. So be aware that your Tuesday plans may be significantly impacted by Nicholas. Now, here's a look at potential wind gusts. This is assuming that it does not attain hurricane intensity, but we can see by Monday evening those tropical storm force winds from Corpus Christi Bay to Matagorda Bay. And then as we go into Tuesday morning, we see those tropical storm force extending from Matagorda Bay all the way to the west end of Galveston Island and potentially coming inland. Look at this, noon on Tuesday, we see tropical storm force wind gusts up to I-10 between Columbus and Houston. But like the rainfall projections, these wind projections, the strength, the location, they're still uncertain, and they will depend on the exact track that Nicholas takes. But we've got the area warned and watched right now where we think that these are most likely to occur. As we head into Tuesday evening, we still see those tropical storm force conditions from I-10 Houston all the way down to the upper Texas coast and offshore, and then things begin to diminish significantly as we head into Wednesday in terms of the winds, but we might still be dealing with the heavy rain on Wednesday as well. So let's talk about the hazards we're expecting. First, along the coast, which is often impacted the most significantly by any landfalling tropical storm or hurricane. This is through Wednesday, a surge up to 5 feet centered towards Matagorda Bay. Rain 10 to 20 inches will be common, but it's possible we will see some isolated spots that exceed 20 inches of rain. That's largely going to depend upon the speed that Nicholas moves through and whether or not it stalls out. As far as winds go, we could be looking at near hurricane force winds and perhaps hurricane force wind gusts more likely as we get into Monday night and Tuesday morning, especially where Nicholas makes landfall. Now, it's possible that Nicholas does become a Category 1 hurricane, and in a small region around that center, there will be sustained hurricane force winds. That's why the watch has been posted centered around Matagorda Bay. And we are expecting the potential for tornadoes from Monday evening into Tuesday morning. That'll be another consideration in those outer rain bands, given that we are on that northeast side of the center. That's where the majority of tornadoes develop. Now, for inland areas, for rain, we're looking at 5 to 15 inches southeast of the Highway 59 corridor, and then northwest of there, so basically northwest of downtown Houston, it drops off to less than 5 inches fairly quickly, in a very general sense. And there will be the possibility of a few tornadoes as well. So we're going to keep keeping you informed on these digital streams, on live TV as needed until this storm, Nicholas, passes us by. We certainly are hoping for the best, but the potential is there for not only a significant flood somewhere in southeast Texas, but also some very strong winds that could do some damage along the upper Texas coastline and push in enough surge that could cause some life-threatening storm surge as well, especially down toward Matagorda Bay. Now, I want you to remain weather aware, even if you think, oh, what I just saw, I think I'm going to be okay, because again, if that track shifts any, that's going to shift the impacts that you will experience at your location. We'll get a new forecast from the National Hurricane Center at 10 o'clock this evening. They've been flying hurricane hunters throughout the morning and the afternoon, but that data has just now gotten into our computer models, and the center has reformed. So a lot of our projections are based off of old data that may no longer be relevant. So my point is, when that new big advisory comes out at 10 o'clock this evening, there might be another shift in the forecast track, and that could has implications both for the amount of rain and the kind of wind that you may get in your location. So thanks for joining us. Stay with us. We'll keep you informed. Next update on live news is going to come at 5:30 p.m. We'll also have a streaming hour at 9 p.m. on our apps and digital spaces. And then at 10 o'clock tonight, we'll have the latest on Eyewitness News. Thanks for watching.